All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
I need a sign to let me know you're here. All of these lines are being crossed over the atmosphere. I need to know that things are gonna look up, 'cause I feel us drowning in a sea spilled from a cup.
And welcome to hour 2 of tonight's show, Exo Nation. I'm Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is Catherine Lanigan. Her website is catherinelanigan.com. And we're going to be talking to Catherine tonight about, angels, which is one of my favorite topics, angel sightings and near-death experiences, and much more. Joining me now from the state of Indiana is Catherine Lanigan. And Catherine, welcome back to the X Zone. It has been way too long.
It has been way too long, but we need to change that.
Yes, we do. My goodness, over 45 books?
Yeah, actually, I just finished. I just got back from Cozumel, and I just wrote a new angel book. It'll be my 4th, and it's called Angel Timelines. I hope to have it out by April, maybe May, around in there, and that'll be number 57.
My goodness, 57.
Yeah, well, I'm working on 100. Can you tell?
I really can, and I have a good feeling that you're going to go way past 100.
Yeah, I think I just might.
Yeah, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, Catherine.
Well, I am. I have been published for over 45 years, and I started out writing historical romances, and I I was writing a lot of romances, and the thing that changed my trajectory was in 1987, both my parents went to the Grand Canyon in Arizona, and they both had heart attacks while they were
heavens.
there. Yeah. And my mother had a heart attack right there, at the Grand Canyon. So they came in, the ambulance, and took her to the hospital at Flagstaff. And as they were wheeling her into ICU, my father dropped dead outside the doors of ICU.
Oh, Lord.
And he was dead for 22 minutes, and they pounded on his chest and broke all his ribs, his sternum, his clavicle, everything, try to bring him back. They did bring him back. But the gist of the story is that my sister and I flew through the night to get to him, and because we were told he wasn't going to make it,
Right.
And when I walked into the room, he said, and we got there like after midnight. They, back then they had those visiting hours where family could only be there for an hour and all that kind of thing, but they let us in at midnight because we had flown all night to get there. And he said, "Oh, Kath, I'm so glad you're here. I have something I have to tell you." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "The first thing I have to tell you is that I love you." And I was about 43 years old, and he had never said that without me prompting him. As always, "I love you, Daddy," and he'd say, "Oh yeah, me too," that kind of thing. But he would never really come out and just say, "I love you," just for the heck of it. So that was a real change.
Yeah.
That was the first change I saw. But he said, "I have to tell you what they told me on the other side." And now I had heard the term "the other side" by that time. But we were all brought up very Catholic. He was very Catholic. And Catholics refer to heaven as heaven. It's heaven. It's not the other side. And he said, "Well, he said, I was speaking with the being of light." And I said, "You mean an angel?" And he said, No. Angels are the other guys. This was a being of light, very specific. It was a being of light. And the being of light told me that they were sending me back because I had not learned the only lesson that a human being is sent to earth for, and that is the lesson of love. And he had not learned that lesson. And he said, and the other thing I have to tell you is that you're going to write a book. And I said, well, Daddy, since, I've already written 8, 9, 10 books, that's not an issue. And he said, well, this one's going to be pretty different. He said, they told me that you are to write my story, and then stories like mine and other stories from people who have had experiences with angels and seen angels, just like you saw when you were a little girl. And of course, he had punished me for that, because he thought I was crazy.
Wow.
I saw my first angel when I was 3 years old. And but anyway, he said, you're supposed to put all these stories together, and he said, you do not edit them, you just chronicle them, put them together the way that the people tell you what the story is, and then you put them together in a book, and then you're going to get them published. And he said, and then when you die, you will be judged on those books. And I was like, no pressure.
Why were you
Right.
punished at such a young age for seeing an angel?
Yeah, well, my parents kept saying that, my imagination was way too vivid. I also saw fairies in the backyard. I saw, I saw unicorns before unicorns were like the thing, like little kids.
Sure.
I said, well, I saw unicorns. And so my parents just thought I was, they thought there was something wrong with me,
Yes,
And,
I think that should be called you're a gifted child.
Yeah, well, but that's a long time ago, and that just was never talked about. It's just like, don't tell anybody, don't say those things to anybody, and certainly don't say that to anybody in the Catholic Church, because, but at 3, I wasn't really aware that there were, it wasn't a religious thing, I wasn't aware of angels per se.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. And but I had one that was in my room that she would come, and she was beautiful. And I say she because it was such a mothering, feminine, nurturing
Love?
essence, love essence about her. She had long blonde hair and like aqua eyes, not really blue, but not really green either, almost like aqua eyes. And she said, I will always be with you. So, and she said, I'm here to protect you and to guide you. And I never got a name, and I've never asked either. That's interesting. I've just thought of that, Rob. I've never asked who that is.
Have you seen or been with her since those early days of your youth?
Yeah, actually I have. There's been several times in my life where I've been either very ill or, something really bad. And she's shown up and said, just don't worry. Just stay. Actually what she says is stay calm. You will heal, that kind of thing, like that kind of thing. If I stay calm, everything will work out. Another is don't worry. I hear that a lot from my angels. Don't worry about it. Just let it go, go for a walk, go do something else, just let it go. And I think I don't do that enough. I really don't. I'm trying, but.
Tell us about the time when you were 13 and your dead grandmother visited you.
Well, now that's a good one. We had gone down, Grandma lived in Florida. It was my mother's mother. And she died in June, and we went down to the funeral, and and it was my grandfather had already died, and so that we were dividing up the house, all that kind of thing. So anyway, we came home, and came back to Indiana, and we were home probably about a week. She'd been dead about a week, I guess, maybe 10 days at the most. And I was dreaming that my grandmother was walking across the map of the United States, and it scared me. So I woke up. Now I was awake for the rest of this, and there she was standing at the end of my bed in the flesh. And I said, Grandma, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be dead. And she said, first of all, we don't die. So that was, I think, a really profound statement, to make. And she said, I want you to do a couple things for me. She said, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to tell your mother that I love her. And I said, I will do that. I will do that. And she said, and I want you to take care of your mother. And I said, you want me to take care of my mother? I said, I'm the child. She's the mother. And she said, you have never been her child. This is the only time you've been her child, and you have always been her mother. Now, I was 13, but that right then and there was my first inkling of that we have past lives. And it always stayed with me. And I actually started investigating, like, what was she saying to me? What does this mean? And I started, with the flashlight and books under the covers, trying to figure out, all right, what was Grandma telling me? So then she said, when you grow up, you're going to be a writer. And I said, I'm going to be a writer. And she said, yes, you are. You've got a lot of talent, and you're going to be a writer, and that's what you'll do for all your life. And she said, and I want you to write my story when you grow up. And she said, someone will listen. You'll write my story. So then that also put me on the trajectory of, all right, Grandma said that I should be a writer. Now, I did not write stories. I did read a lot. By that time, I was reading big books. I read Gone with the Wind, and I read my first adventure book was Thor Heyerdahl's Kon-Tiki. I was like that.
Yeah.
Got on a raft and went across the Pacific Ocean to prove that the Samoans were really from wherever the Argentina, or wherever he said they were from. Anyway, I loved Kon-Tiki and all kinds of adventure books like that. But anyway, then another year I was in high school, and so I got on the high school newspaper. I started learning things about journalism and interviewing people, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and that started me on my path. So I have my grandmother to thank for that.
And knowing you over the years, I know for a fact that you've made your grandmother very proud by keeping everything that she suggested that you do, or she asked you to do, that you did to the very best of your ability.
I did.
Yeah.
That I did, yes.
Catherine, please stand by. You and I have to take our first break. And Exonation, our guest this hour is Catherine LANIGAN. And if you'd like to find out more about Catherine, visit her website, CatherineLanigan.com. And Catherine and I will be back on the other side of this short break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our Broadcast Center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. You can always send me an email, xzone@classic1220.ca. We'll be back after this break.
Crossed over the atmosphere. I need to know that things are gonna look up, 'cause I feel us drowning in a sea spilled from a cup. When there is no place safe and no safe place to put my head, when you can feel the world shake. Between the perfect world and the bottom line, keeping love alive in these troubled times. Well, it's a miracle in itself.
And welcome back. Catherine LANIGAN is our special guest this hour. CatherineLanigan.com is the website. And Catherine, the war between good and evil seems to be raging right now. How do you explain this? Because, you're in touch with the angels. You're in touch with forces that only a few people can fathom that actually exist. What's going on, Catherine?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. I'm going to tell you a story that happened right before the pandemic. I was This was the summer of 2019, and I was visited by you know the story in the Bible where it says Jesus and his 10,000, angels.
Yep. Yes.
Has legion upon legion upon, I can call upon my Father. I think it's in Matthew. I can call upon my Father and he'll bring forth legion upon legion of angels, if I ask.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I was asleep and I heard this knock on my door in my bedroom, not the front door, but the bedroom. And Jesus was standing there, and he said, I want you to get up. And I said, yes, I will. And I followed him. He said, I want you to open the front door. And I opened the door. And as I've said, both of those are an act of submission. I followed his lead. I didn't question it. I just did it,
Mm-hmm.
and went out. And in my front yard was Michael the Archangel, and another angel. And then Michael just pointed across from my house is a golf course, and straight across from the very front of my house, I have two Adirondack chairs out in front so you can watch the golfers go by. But there is a fairway that goes down 1 mile, almost a full mile all the way down. And about halfway down this area were 10,000 angels, wing to wing, just in all their glory that you can possibly imagine. But their feet did not touch the ground. And they were singing or humming, "We are here, we are here." Now, they are here. So what I've discerned since, I've gone over it and over it and over it in my mind, is that we humans are the boots on the ground in this war between good and evil. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And but they are here to be that force that we need to have to bring the balance out, because there's far too much fear. And humans have allowed themselves to buy into the fear, which is, dealt like cards out of a deck, from everything from corporations to politicians to religions to everything. Whatever is a fear, wherever they can, monger some fear, they're going to fear monger. And the angels, but we have to ask the angels to be there with us, the strength to be our strength, call on them to help fight the evil that's going on. Humanity is at a tipping point right now. We've always had free choice, and we have to make that choice. Are we going to choose positive, or are we going to choose negative? And up to this point, we've been choosing far too much negative. And so each time that we do anything that's positive, we are counterbalancing that negative. So that, even in our daily life, even just the little things that we do, I've just finished a book, and I said in the book, if we would just be kind to each other again. I can remember when I was even in high school and even beyond, people were nice to each other. It's, hello, how are you? How are you doing? You smiled at people. You didn't just everybody's growling all the time, I think. I mean, that's my personal experience. But all those little acts that we can do. And then the other is to literally pray for humanity, pray for our brothers and sisters. And prayer will get us out of this simulation or matrix or whatever it is that we have created that's become this timeline that we're in, where this imbalance of the negative has taken over. And I believe that the more that we balance ourselves, we come to the center point of who we are, which I believe we really get to that point through meditation and breathing. Just to drop into your breath and think about. I'm just gonna, today I was beyond frustrated. It was all computer stuff, right? And I just was like, all right, I just want to be in nature. I want to go for a walk. And my husband and I went for a walk, about 1.5 miles in the middle of the woods, all around, and just breathing that. It was cold, but it was fresh air, and it was wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because we've lost the ability to stop to smell the roses. We've forgotten about the very simple pleasures in life that we all used to have before
Yeah.
we got involved in this digital world that we're now in, where everything is so fast. You're inundated with news feeds 724, 365. You don't have time for your family. You don't have time for supper. You don't have time for anything. There's drive-through restaurants, drive-through dry cleaners, drive-through pharmacies, drive-through funeral parlors.
That's correct.
We need to slow down.
Yeah, we do. And that is we really believe the more we can stay in nature, just stop and just, walk through our own yard. My husband goes out and feeds the birds twice a day and go for a walk, and we ride around the lake and, just look, even when, even if you're in an apartment and you can't do all those kinds of things, the one thing you can do, my mother used to say this, you can buy a bouquet of flowers at the grocery store, a cheap bouquet for $5, and stare at them.
Bring nature home to you.
It brings nature home to you. Yeah. No matter where you are, you can do that. You can do that. You can buy a plant and you can water your, Boston fern in the house. And that brings that in so that you just stop and think about those living things. Those plants have emotions and have feelings and emit energy just like we do. We have plant feelings and emotions, and we emit energy. Well, they do too.
It's in some municipalities, and St. Catharines is one of them. You actually can grow your own little garden in certain areas of the town. If you live in a condominium, if you live in an apartment, there's no excuse for not getting back to nature. And I love getting my hands into the soil. I love gardening. My wife and I, before we moved to our condo, we always had homes where we could feed the birds, feed the animals, enjoy the outdoors. But after yours truly fell off the roof and kind of screwed my hip up and shattered my femur,
wow.
Well, we had to make ends, do it with what we had to do. So we sold our beautiful property in Crystal Beach, and we moved into a condo.
Wow.
So I miss that a lot. My wife misses that a lot. But you know what? We go downstairs, we walk, where there's plants all around us here. St. Catharines is the garden city of Ontario. And we're right near the fruit orchards of Niagara.
Oh, lovely.
The vineyards of Niagara. So, we're blessed, and we take advantage of this every way we can, every time we can. And you are so right that connecting back with nature grounds you. It brings you back to reality.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've never had a knock on the door and open it and Jesus was standing there, and I've never... What did you think about when you opened your bedroom door?
Yeah.
And there stood Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I have to say he's come to me several times in my life, but usually by that time when that happened, because that's 2019, by the time that happened, I knew something big was going to happen. And I knew this was a warning. They never said anything about a pandemic, but they just said, I knew there was something really dire coming. The first thing I thought of was, is there going to be a war of some kind? That was my first thought. And then I thought, well, maybe there's some kind of an economic disaster, but the pandemic thing just didn't hit. But then when the pandemic started, I thought, well, that was what that was all about. And that's why we've got to call on the angels to, right now to start, because it was so much fear. The whole damn world was, locked down.
Yeah.
And everybody was in fear. And if they didn't have any fear, they made something up.
That was the bad part about it. All the fake news that was out there, all the misinformation that was out there.
Unbelievable.
It truly was.
Yeah.
Thank the good Lord that there were a lot of lives lost. And my heart goes out to each and every person who lost someone during those horrific times. But on the other side of the coin, we have to give kudos to the different governments, wherever they were, the actions they took in order to protect the rest of society. And, thank good Lord we're here today. And,
Yeah.
no matter what your political views are, we're all together in this.
That is right.
And it's
that's one thing I keep saying is, we are the human race. We've done everything we can to separate ourselves from each other, and we've got to realize is we are the human race. And pretty soon there's going to be other races that we've got to acknowledge, whether they're Palladians or Arcturians or, some other star seeds that are coming in. We've got to realize we are the human beings. The angels are the angelic race. The light beings are the light being race. And we have always had to share this universe with a whole lot of folks. And pretty soon we're going to start seeing all those folks.
You and I have to, I'm sorry, go ahead, dear.
I believe.
I believe as well.
Yeah.
And, people talk about UFOs. People talk about ghosts. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen a ghost. But you know what? I believe in angels because I've seen angels. And you and I have to take our break, Catherine.
Yes, we do.
So please stand by. Exonation. Catherine Lanigan is our special guest this hour. www.catherinelanigan.com. And Exonation, if you've had an angel experience, if you've seen an angel, I'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, xzone@classic1220.ca. That's xzone, XZONE, at classic1220.ca. And any emails that I have from our listeners, Catherine, I'll share with you as well.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
Always a great pleasure. And Exonation, Catherine Lanigan and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in St. Catharines on your hometown radio, Classic 1220.
She walks to school with a lunch she packed. Nobody knows what she's...
And welcome back, everyone. Catherine Lanigan is my special guest this hour. www.catherinelanigan.com. What apparitions have you encountered during and before the pandemic? We talked about the time that Jesus knocked on your door, and when you went outside, there was this line of angels. How many angels would you estimate?
I said it was 10,000.
Wow.
And it looked like 10,000. And I heard, I think it was Michael say, this is the 10,000.
What did you feel inside at that point? Here you've got
Oh,
Jesus that knocked on your door. You've got Archangel Michael talking to you, saying, "This is the 10,000."
Mm-hmm.
How did you
I
feel?
was very humble. I was crying. I almost fell to my knees. I was just like so overwhelmed with. I was so humble that they came to me to come to me and have so that I could have this experience. And then when it was over, it was Michael who said, "Now you write this down. You write this down." And I the next day or very shortly thereafter, as soon as because I was working full time, I did sit down and I put down exactly what I saw. But the big thing was I was trying to figure out what is coming. I could feel this something really dire was going to happen. Where I thought, why do 10,000 angels have to come? Why can't it just, if it's just about me, it would only be one angel? Do you know what I mean?
I sure do.
Yeah, and that really scared me, and I just thought, my God, what are we in for? And then when the pandemic came, I was just like, wow, And then and this is what I've done is I have this book I was telling you about, Angel Timelines. I'm hoping I can have it out, May or so. But that is part of what I've done. Is I had 4 or 5, just the biggest angel experiences of my life from 2019 to 2021. I would say all during the pandemic and 2022, post-pandemic. And each time these things happen, I was told, write them down and put them away. And I forgot about them. You know, I was writing other things. I was working, 5 days a week, and I was under contract for other stuff for my Canadian publisher and stuff. So I didn't have time to work with them. And then when I went to Cozumel just recently, I would say from the time I fell in November, I fell on November 19th, and I had to have 2 surgeries because one arm I shattered both the ulna and the radius on my left arm, and then I broke the right arm. And I had such urgings to write this book. I would go to sleep, well, sort of go to sleep, but my angels would say, this other book, you have to write another book. And the first title I came up with, it was Angel Time. They said the title is Angel Time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to write this book, Angel Time, as soon as I can type again. Because right now, I couldn't even feed myself, So, because I had casts on and all that stuff. Anyway, by the time I got to Cozumel, I had breakaway casts, so I could take the casts off so I could type.
Yes.
And I went back and found those stories, and then I had so many downloads. I'm not kidding. I was writing 8 hours a day while my husband's out snorkeling and seeing the island stuff, and I'm sitting under this palm tree in this garden writing this book.
Yes, but let's be honest here.
Yeah.
You're on a mission from God.
I was.
And your husband, and God made sure your husband wasn't around to distract you.
That's true. He said he wants him to go to have a good time. It was really true. But this poor man had to take care of me. Seriously, he had to feed me for weeks. It was just terrible. But anyway, one morning I couldn't even finish breakfast. They were like, you ate enough. Get up, go. We have to start writing.
Oh my Lord.
But this book is, I put all of those stories together to show what this whole time that we are in right now is all about, this fight between good and evil. And I will say this so that your listeners do know, love will win, and we are already winning the war against evil. The fear is fading. Every time we have a revelation and I don't care if it's political, all these revelations are coming out, and the dark is being exposed in a way that it's never been before. And I think part of that's because of the internet and the web. We see stuff that's happening over in Italy and in China and all these, so we know what's happening because somebody videoed it on their iPhone and sent it to their friend in St. Catharines, Ontario, and it's on TV. You know what I mean?
I sure do.
So we are able to know the truth, and we're getting the truth, and a lot of us they're really waking up and paying attention and going, okay, I'm seeing this now. The stuff that I just saw tonight on Twitter, I'm like, oh my God, I remember when it was just my friends all selling their books, not anymore.
Listen, I have to ask you this, and please don't take this question the wrong way.
Okay.
First of all, I love what you do. I think that you are proof that angels really do exist. Number one. Number two, why you? Why were you chosen for this mission?
Do you know, I don't know, but I do know from other people who are in tune with angels, and so that I really was born to do this. I was, at the same time, was also targeted from before birth, to be stopped. And I have always felt like I had life was always so serious for me. I always have, because I have this passion to get this all done, before I leave, and take care. I'm always taking care of everybody, that kind of thing. But I don't know if if I earned it in a past life. I've never quite figured that out either, because I don't know that I've had all that many lifetimes on this planet. But I've always been in tune with angels. My mother told me that when I was only 6 months old, I was talking in full sentences when I was 6 months old.
Wow.
And and I was walking when I was 7 months old, and I mean, it was just crazy. I've read my own baby book, and I'm going, who is this child? And of course, my mother had more children think they were all going to be like me. It's just like, that was a disappointment. I was like, okay, they were like, regular kids. But she said when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 months, I had learned how to crawl out of my crib. But I was always talking to someone in my room, in the crib. And she could never figure out why I was talking to all the, and she said there was more than one, they didn't have names. She said, you would point around the room. And she told me this like as I'm an adult, I mean, this wasn't something she told me as a child. And she said, there was something different about you even then, Now, I don't remember that. My first memory is I was 6 months and I fell through the plate glass window. And they always say that once you have your first trauma, you remember everything.
Whoa, hold on. 6 months old, you fell through a plate glass window?
I know. I had my high chair and I was rocking back and forth, and I, boom, went right through the plate glass window.
Oh, my gosh.
And my mother said it was amazing. Here's all this glass around me. Here's this little baby still in the high chair, still holding my glass bottle with not a scratch on me.
Proof
Nothing.
of guardian angels.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, it was, yeah.
It seems that there are adults who do not understand that children are so open and they can see angels. They do see what we have long forgotten. And I kind of put this on the blame on this on our system. Children are taught about a world of fantasy where a cow jumps over a moon, a lady lives in a shoe with her children, another person keeps their wife in a pumpkin, and the list goes on and on and on. When you go into school, that world of fantasy is carried through until grade 2, when you know what we told you before, we were lying to you. That's not the way it really is.
Exactly. Only now the kids, they put the kids in school when they're 3 and 4, and they don't even get the fairy tales and the rhymes and all that kind of stuff that we had. So they start them right away. These kids are, they're 6 months old. They're already got a phone in their hand.
Which, in my opinion, is wrong.
Oh, I agree. Totally.
In fact, there are provinces now who are not allowing their students to take cell phones to school.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. In fact, the United Kingdom was the very first country to do that. And when we were kids, our version of a cell phone to call home was a dime. And you went to something at school, if you needed to call home, you went to the office, and you better have a good reason to call.
Yes.
And if you were out, you had a dime, and you went to something called a telephone booth.
That's right. Which was on, every corner in a city.
Right.
And
And I think we're far better off because of those days. Mm-hmm. Because you're allowed to believe. You're allowed to wonder. You didn't have everything handed to you on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And,
well, the other thing too is schools then, you were taught to think.
Yes.
And that's what when I went to college, it was all about teaching you how to think, how to figure things out. You had to take philosophy and
Catherine,
metaphysics.
I hate to do this, but I've got to take my final break, so please.
Oh yeah,
stand
you
by.
have to take a break.
Yeah.
I just
Exonation,
thought of
our Catherine Lanigan is our special guest. Her website is catherinelanigan.com, and we'll both be back as the X Zone wraps up tonight's show. Wow, hour number 2 already. It seems that it was just an hour ago that it was 1 hour to go. We'll be back on the other side of this break, Exonation. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on your hometown classic, 1220. We'll be back. Don't go away.
She walks to school with a lunch she packed. Nobody knows what she's holding back. Wearing the same dress she wore
Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? How the music can free her whenever it starts, and it's magic. If the music is groovy and makes you feel happy like an old-time movie, I'll tell you about the magic and it'll free your soul. But it's like trying to tell a stranger about a rock and roll. Do you believe in magic?
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. Catherine Lanigan is my very special guest this hour. CatherineLanigan.com is her website. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. And congratulations on all your books. And thank you for what you do for everyone when it comes to the angels.
Well, you're most welcome, and I just want to say to everybody is, your angels are always around you. All they want you to do is ask them for help, and then just please thank them. Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies next to love that we can emit with our own energies, and just being grateful for, everything. Like we were talking about nature, when you walk through nature and just walk around your own yard, just be grateful for these moments that you get to have grass. Even have snow. We got 39 inches of snow, only 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And everybody was complaining, 30, and I said, I know, but it's really pretty.
How important is the power of positive thinking?
I think it's all important, especially now. Right now, your positive thinking is going to make your world that you're going to live in and your children are going to live in for the rest of our lives. This is our choice right now, is to create the new world with happiness and joy and love and peace, a place with no war. Mm-hmm. It's not a fairy tale. It's not. It is something that we can do. You create it in your mind, see it, and then live it as if it's happened. My mother always said, I don't just believe in miracles, I expect them.
I love that.
Yeah, and I just think that's one of the greatest things. My mother was an incredibly wise woman, but that's one of the best ones. I expect them. Yes, everything's going to be taken care of. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. There's not going to be a war. There's not going to be a stock market crash. It's going to be fine. Just keep saying that to yourself, and that's the world that you will create. Because we have that power. We all have a divine spark in us. Every single person, no matter how bad or good or lazy or whatever anybody is, they all have a divine spark in them. Now, some people have to dig a little deeper to find it, mm-hmm. But it's there. And the more you look, and the more you seek, you will find it. And you'll find out how glorious and wonderful it is, because it's the God spark,
I love that, the God spark.
Yeah, it's a God spark. And that spark can be a flame. It can be a flame of passion and show you exactly where you should be going on your path, your divine path, and your highest good, and lead you to those really great places. You don't have to wallow in the dirt and the mud the way that, all the advertisers want to tell you.
Yeah.
You don't. You you can create something new and wonderful, and then go do it.
I agree with you 100%, Catherine. However, there are those people out there who expect everything to be done for them. And
Yes, they do.
And I think that everyone has to pitch in, because
Yeah,
if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
that's right.
So,
Yeah. I agree. And, I've always said, I mean, you probably don't know this, but I mean, I've said this since I was a little girl. I was like, "Oh, I have to save the world." Well, you know what? There's parts of the world that just aren't going to be saved.
That's
Like
right.
I said, there's some people they got to dig really deep, and maybe it's not this lifetime that they're going to make it, but that's okay. They're going to go, they're the problem. They want that timeline of that world. Have at it. You can have all your problems you want to have, but I'm not going to help you.
as my daughter
help
Amy,
yourself.
as my daughter Amy says, you just can't fix stupid.
Boy, I say that a lot. It's really true. You just can't, and you can't fix everybody. You
Nope.
can't fix everything. You can't save everything, but you can pray for the whole world. You can send love and light to the whole world and to every animal and flower and person that's here. And you can, and whether they like it or not, they're going to be raised up even a little bit, even a little bit. And maybe that little bit will be enough to help them turn the corner where they say, you know what, I'm not going to be a lazy, person anymore. I'm going to go do something for myself. I'm going to do something for my community. I'm going to go build that garden for all my neighbors to come and enjoy. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I'm going to smile at everybody I see in the grocery store today, and I'm not going to snarl at anybody in traffic.
Did you ever notice that everybody at Christmas, during the Christmas holidays, will dig deeper into their pocket to give money to those who are underprivileged, or they'll go to their grocery store and buy extra food and go to the food bank to help out other people, or they'll donate clothes that they don't require anymore, or they just smile. They they sing along. The Salvation Army is out there with their band, and they give everybody. Why can't we do that all year round? Because the problems that we're helping to solve at Christmas time are there the rest of the year.
Oh, they are. And, Elvis Presley had a song, If Every Day Could Be Like Christmas. That's one of my favorite songs. If every day could be like Christmas. And it's true. The Christmas is I've always said, I know that there's a dimension someplace where there is a Santa Claus. And I think that dimension is just a hand 3 feet away, because we put our hands on it every Christmas. We just need to bring it into our lives all year round. And there are a lot of people that do, but think about it. We play the same songs at Christmas time, but they're lovely songs about helping each other, and you're constantly hearing them, whether you like it or not, besides the reindeer running over grandma. I mean, you're always hearing about how lovely and peace on earth. You go around, and whether you know it or not, you're humming them.
Yeah.
So it's in your consciousness, and your consciousness is emitting that energy, and you're emitting those thoughts to the rest of the atmosphere, and that's in our atmosphere. The ringing of the bell of the Salvation Army, just like you say, it's on every street corner. It's constantly, those beautiful chimes are all making the energy, of just loveliness, of higher vibrations and higher frequencies.
And we're always
like a sound bath.
And we're always being reminded, whether it's a Christmas carol, whether it's beautiful Christmas decorations, whether it is the Salvation Army, whether it's the food banks, we're constantly reminded that this is what humanity is all about.
Yes, we are.
And the rest of the year it's fend for yourself. So
Exactly.
we should have Christmas every day of the year.
Yep, we should. We should have Christmas every day of the year. I've always, for years, I used to have a Christmas tree in my office, up all year round, and then I left the lights on 24/7 all the time.
Wow.
But then I was born at Christmas time, so I've always loved Christmas. I just think it is just such a lovely thing. It's a lovely holiday, whether you're religious or not. It's just loveliness. It's just beautiful. And there is something to be said about, beauty on earth. The Greeks and the Romans did, Egyptians too, is beautiful, beautiful art, and the human mindset is just drawn to beautiful art, and it moves our soul in a way that song and art and nature move us to a higher vibration without us even knowing it, and that's why the beauty is very important to create.
We've got about 2.5 minutes left. What is your opinion on the importance of meditation?
Meditation is all important. I mean, besides being positive, meditation is, prayer is one thing, but meditation is an active force that, you visualize, because you go into meditation and you visualize, you're literally going to visualize a better world, a peaceful world. No war, I always visualize no want, there's no child hungry, there's no person hungry, there's no disease, everyone's healthy, everyone's happy. And those vibrations of meditation alter the timelines of the earth. And they really do. My husband and I do guided meditations on new moons and full moons. And what's really powerful, we have a very, very powerful, active, and talented, I don't know if they're talented is really the word, but dedicated group. And we really get some work done. I mean, we really change some lives and change things with our thoughts, because our thoughts are things, and our thoughts was something that human beings have lost the ability to understand, that our thoughts create the future.
And our thoughts are very powerful as well.
They are. And our love, we send love to every corner of the earth, especially to, one of the things I do is, like, in all the war-torn areas, I turn all their guns into flowers.
Well, now you're bringing me back to my youth with the hippies. Where have all the flowers gone?
Isn't it great?
We had the right idea, but nobody would listen to us.
Exactly.
Make love, not war. All you need is love.
They
Yeah.
just thought we were crazy.
Yeah. Catherine, the time has come when I must say so long to you for tonight. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. And I wish you continued success in everything you do. And thanks for trying to make this beautiful planet even more beautiful than it already is.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me. And I'm so glad to do this. This is so much fun.
Well, thank you. And the object of this show for the last 34 years has been make the difference in only one listener's life. Positive. Right. Touch a heart. Make a difference. And I'm sure we did that tonight with you as our guest here on the show. So thanks you, Catherine.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Exonation.
Lots of love.
Lots of love to you and your husband. Exonation, and don't fall anymore, okay?
Yeah, right. I'm going to try not to.
Catherine Lanigan has been our guest, Exonation. CatherineLanigan.com. Well, that's it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. And the X Zone is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And until tomorrow night, please take care of each other and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Good night, everyone.